It is the breakaway for those watching on YouTube, Twitter and Facebook. Welcome along. On the battlefield of many a war over the history of the Tour de France, it was Thibaut Pinot who emerged victorious atop the Tourmalet, taking the stage win with no yellow blood shed on the slopes of the Tour's favourite climb, in the reign of Julian Alaphilippe, for now at least unshakable. But Brian Smith and Sir Bradley Wiggins are alongside me in the studio. Julian Alaphilippe still in yellow. Bradley, can you have imagined when this tour started in Brussels what feels like a lifetime ago that we would have been saying that?
No, not at all. And when we watched him win that stage, stage 2 was it, no one would. I don't think he would have expected to be in this position now. But what he does is he just continues to plug away, ride 100%, ride attacking. I think the last day I was here before I left for the first week, I said, you know, he's not going to rest on his laurels. I'm sure we'll see him win another stage in this race. I would never have imagined him to win the time trial and still be in yellow with, what, a week to go now.
Brian, as we've been saying earlier, he was struggling somewhat. He did at least manage to hang on. Are we in danger of getting swept up in this French frenzy and saying that he is going to take this yellow jersey all the way to Paris? This is the highest tour in the history of the race, and we have a lot of high climbing to come yet.
Yeah, we do, and it's nobody's got control of this race at all. It's pretty open. I think everybody is aware of that, and he never had any teammates towards the end. He was on his own, but everybody else was pretty much on his own. But as Bradley was saying, you know, when he done the first few days of this race, he was attacking. Won stage 3, as we know, to Perny. No one could stay with him. He was leading out Viviani as well. He was doing absolutely everything. Yesterday in the time trial, it was so dominant. And today you could see him trying to conserve as much as possible. But this is still a very open race, and it's going to come down to tactics in the end.
Well, a wonderful day for Thibaut Pinot and for Julian Alaphilippe. Not so good for the defending champion, Geraint Thomas. Let's hear from him now.
Just didn't feel quite on it from the start, really, to be honest, but just quite weak. And yeah, at the end, I just knew I had to try to pace it, and I didn't really attempt to follow them when they kicked. Just thought it was better just to try to ride my own pace and limit my losses that way, rather than stay with them and blow up on the steepest bit at the end. But yeah, maybe I should have tried to just stay with them, but yeah, it's just one of those days.
I tell you what, if it is one of those days, G, it could have been considerably worse, and it was for a lot of people.
Yeah, it was a tough day out there, and yeah, it's just it's disappointing. Excuse me, but yeah, it is what it is, and just try to limit the damage.
Gee, yesterday you said you were just, even though you rode a great time trial, there was just something that you couldn't get out. Is something brewing in there, something physical?
Oh, I don't know. I think we'll see the next few days, really. But yeah, like I say, just from the start, yeah, I just didn't really feel like great, and I was hoping I'd come round a bit, and obviously on the last climb, it was just a matter of just staying there as long as possible, and I knew they'd kick at the end, and like I said, just try to sort of ride my own pace and not sort of go with them and then die and lose more time. But yeah, that's how it went.
Still second place though, and a lot of climbing to come.
Yeah, still a lot to come, and yeah, hopefully feel a bit better tomorrow.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, quite a tired, despondent-looking Geraint Thomas there. But if we look at the GC, it's not too bad for the defending champion. Julian Alaphilippe still in the lead, but Geraint Thomas remains in second. He's 12 seconds ahead of Steven Kruijswijk, 2 minutes and 2 seconds off the lead at the moment. Egan Bernal has crept up the GC somewhat. He's in fourth now, 3 minutes back with Bookman, just lurking behind on 3:12. Pinot now on the same time gap with Iran, Fulsang, Valverde and Enric Mas making up the rest of the top 10. It was interesting listening to Geraint Thomas there, Bradley, because you had thought that that was exactly what he had done, that he was riding his own race, he wasn't going to go with that pace for fear of exploding. I mean, that shows his experience and his maturity, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's no shame in being only capable of what you're being capable of that day. It's when your heart overtakes you kind of the rational thinking, and you try and stay with them because you feel like, well, it'd be shameful if I get dropped. He will ride that race now like that for the rest of the tour, and what Dave will be saying to him tonight is just keep doing that. Forget everyone else, ride your race A to B as fast as you can do. That's what I used to do. Now, if Alaphilippe blows one day and suddenly lose 2, 3, 4 minutes, G's in yellow. So just stay there. It's not over. And the good thing with G is he's got such a mental resilience. By tomorrow morning, he would have forgot about today, and he'll ride each stage as if it's the first one. And that's what he's great at doing.
Yeah, that's a key, is what Bradley just said there, because everybody else is gained, well, not everybody, there's a few riders gained confidence from today. Alaphilippe and Kruijswijk and Pinot, they've all got confidence, and when you've got that confidence and on that crest of a wave, that you just assume that everybody else is struggling. If Geraint can keep his head down, if he first and foremost recover, if he can keep his head down and do what Bradley's just saying, just chip away, everybody will come down to his level, maybe below his level. He's 2 minutes off the lead. But nobody's got control of this race. The only thing
I think that's the key. I think what's going to... It won't be the individuals that win this race. It will be the teams that win it for them. And as like Brian said, there's not one team that stands out at the moment. Now, I think the smartest team today were Lotto, Jumbo. They rode the best with their formation. So it's going to come back to the DSs. It's going to be the calls on the road. Pinot won today, but FDJ put their cards down very early, and he was, you know, other than the young lad who was with him right at the end there, the FDJ guy did a fantastic job for him. You know, it's going to come down to team support, and Bernal and G now need them riders, Wout Powers, Kwiatkowski, those guys that went very early.
Brian, we were discussing while we were watching this race, and people have been tweeting and asking this very question. How much are Ineos missing Chris Froome? Because when they dropped Kwiatkowski, when they dropped Wout Poels, they still had Bernal and Thomas up there. They would have had 3 ordinarily, and that extra person makes a big difference, doesn't it? Yeah,
I think we were watching it together, and you actually mentioned that. Having that one rider, that kind of dominant rider, makes a huge difference. And now that Chris Froome is here, it's just a different total dynamic in the race. But from what I saw today, not having that dynamic of a dominant Team Sky, now Ineos, they don't know what to do. The teams don't know what to do. They've never been in that situation.
But are they spoilt by having Chris Froome? Or do you think that opens it up for everyone else? I mean,
it opens it up, definitely.
They've got enough as it is, wouldn't you think? I know it would put them in an amazing position, but put any team in an amazing position with those 3 guys. I mean, it almost makes for a better race now for us to watch.
Makes it more even, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's almost... We're talking about putting one of the best tour riders of our generation back into a trio to help someone win the tour. But actually, it's almost, you know, boo-hoo, you know, because, you know...
No sympathy there.
It actually makes it better for us to watch. I mean...
I said that in commentary today. If Team Ineos were on the front, Groupama wouldn't have ridden. They wouldn't have ridden. They would just have let Team Ineos ride on the front. Take that strong, dominant team away, and it's just like they don't know what to do. And hats off to Groupama. They took it on and delivered that win. And David Gaudu done a perfect you know, pacing. But Jumbo-Visma have got 2 strong riders there. Okay, they didn't last too long, but it could be down to man against man. Look, the factor is Geraint is still there, Bernal still there. They still have 2 up there in the classification. Having numbers up there always gives you options.
Let's hear from some of Jumbo-Visma now then, because I understand that Laurens de Plus has been speaking with Matt Stevens.
Laurens de Plus, we knew this would be a big stage. What a stage it was. Wonderful team riding by Jumbo-Visma to have Steven in there in the final.
Yeah, it's crazy. Even if we don't have the yellow jersey, it's like we're living the yellow dream. It's crazy, this Tour de France for our team so far. And yeah, we have so much confidence. And yeah, with a leader like Steven Kruijswijk, you know he never cracks. And yeah, I think it's a wonderful tour for us so far.
What did you think when you heard that Geraint Thomas had been dropped?
Yeah, I was also surprised, of course. It was a very hard day also for us, because Movistar, they start full gas on the first climb. But yeah, also for our team, it's a surprise that we are so strong.
And Steven rode a very, very good time trial. You have to be thinking that he could be within a definite shout to win this race.
Yeah, I said it already a few times, and I will do it again. I think it's a unique chance for Steven this Tour de France to get on the podium, or even more. So I hope he can stay on his level like this, and maybe wonderful things will happen.
And what was it like riding up this amazing epic climb on the front?
It was amazing. I didn't expect that also. For me it was also a surprise actually. But yeah, maybe tomorrow it's another hard day, and maybe tomorrow I'll crack, we'll see, I don't know. For me it's also a new experience.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, a very understandably happy Laurence de Plus there. We've got a few tweets coming in with a similar theme, actually, asking whether Julian Alaphilippe could do a Leicester City, Bradley.
What's that? Get relegated? No.
Come unexpectedly when no one's expecting him to take the win. And
I tell you what, I'm saying some of the sports, this is cycling now, like modern cycling. Cycling's really changed for the better, maybe. Because guys like this now, they're entertaining, and that's what we talk about the likes of Chris Froome and that here. There is a pattern to the race when we used to have to see Chris Froome, whereas now we're just being entertained daily in this Tour de France. And I think it's a good thing for the viewers that there is no team that's in control now, because we've become so accustomed over the years to Sky and then, of course, Ineos setting the pace, and it's becoming such a pattern to the race. Whereas now, Ineos look on the back foot. They don't look good. Kwiatkowski got dropped on the Souleur. Luke Rowe actually got dropped quite early. For some reason, the big powerhouse that is Luke Rowe, I would have thought he'd at least got to the Valley before the Tourmalet. Wout Poels in previous years would have expected to still be in that group, really, at the finish there. So, you know, it's they've got their work cut out the next week for sure. But
you look at Movistar as well. What were they doing? Were they communicating with the riders? How was Quintana feeling? It's, you know, they've now got Landa, who started the day 6 minutes down, as their favoured GC rider, and yeah, he'll come good. They'll want a stage, but it's still a lot of hard work from him. But I think Deceuninck Quickstep, the way Mas performed today, that would have been a big disappointment. I think it will all be behind Alaphilippe, because Mas dropping down the general classification is a big loss. Big loss. Yeah, it has to be now.
A bit of speculation, maybe, that we can throw into the mix with Geraint Thomas. There has been a bit of a stomach bug going around the peloton. We understand that Vincenzo Nibali wasn't very well the other day.
Yeah.
You said it, not me. But if he is suffering from some sort of a stomach upset, is that almost better for him, do you think?
I mean, we don't know that, but I would probably like to say more that this is now Geraint's probably true level coming out, that we maybe bigged him up, maybe got too much pressure put him in, you know, talking about his weight and how fit he looked. But he hasn't had the perfect season. He hasn't had the season that Geraint had last year. He's had crashes, he's had sickness, he's had... And I think this might be his true mark, his actual level at this moment. But at this moment in time, that if he remains at this level in a week's time and the others fall away, he could still win the Tour.
And if you were Bernal, what would you be thinking?
I don't think it matters what Bernal's thinking. I think, you know, it's the direction. It's going to come from the management, really.
You think after today it should still be Geraint Thomas because he's in second? I
just think the time gap's too big now. But what they'll do, they'll assess it. They'll still play that two-pronged attack as long as possible. But we were talking about how high the Tour goes this year. That's Bernal. That's Bernal through and through, you know, the Colombian. So, I mean, it's going to be... I think tomorrow's going to be another big day, and then we'll get to the rest day, and I think we'll have a true mark of who then the Ineos are going to ride for into the last week. If Geraint loses more time tomorrow, then I think it's a no-brainer.
Well, looking at what happened today, we could be on the final climb tomorrow, just man against man again. Nobody in control of the race, which is going to open up. So when the attacks start, if they do attack, then who's going to follow? So I think Bernal will follow. Geraint will just get through today, try to get in the rest day, recover, and look at the last week.
Well, hopefully tomorrow you might be able to see us a little bit better. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise. Who knows? But we do have another day in the Pyrenees to come then before we get to the second rest day of this year's Tour de France. Stage 15 stands between the riders in a period of relative repos. It's a much longer stage in store, 185 kilometres from Limoux to Foix, with a trio of Category 1 climbs towards the end, just in case anyone would think we could ease ourselves into the second rest day. From the most used climb in Tour history at the Tourmalet, we head to the race's newest climb for the finish, which brings us to an accumulation of climbing of almost 5,000 metres on the day. Well, before you watch that, you can watch highlights of today's stage on Eurosport 1 tonight at 8 o'clock. We will be back with stage 15 live tomorrow morning at 11:15 once again on Eurosport 1. And in between all of that, you can listen to more ponderings from Sir Bradley Wiggins. Download and listen to the latest episode of his podcast now. Subscribe while you're at it so you don't miss an episode. Well, on the Col du Tourmalet, it was Thibaut Pinot on top of the world. He enjoys the dizzy heights of the win on stage 14. And Julian Alaphilippe doesn't look like he's planning on coming back to earth anytime soon.
Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, two sunny cities, one break.
The Tour de France.